Sometimes you read a children's story, and something just feels off. On the surface, it seems totally innocent, right? Maybe even a little sweet. But then you look closer, and you get this feeling that something is looking back at you from between the lines. Well, today, we're diving into a story just like that. It's about a simple white hat, a taxi driver, and a transformation that is just deeply strange.
So this one sentence, it's just tucked away in a story that millions of kids read. But this line, it changes everything. It hints that something we assume is human might actually be something else. So yeah, let's pull back that curtain. Let's see what's really going on here.
Okay, so our story begins on this sweltering hot day in early June. We've got a taxi driver, his name is Masui, and he's just driving along when he sees something, a little white speck on the side of the road.
And for some reason, he feels like he has to stop. He's worried it's going to get run over. And when he gets closer, he sees it's just a kid's little white hat. But here's where it gets weird. As he picks it up, something impossible happens. A living thing, a monarch butterfly, just flutters out from inside and flies off into the trees. It's like it was trapped in there. And inside the hat, he finds a name stitched in. Takio from Takayama Kindergarten. And Matsui, our driver, he actually feels bad for this kid, He imagines how disappointed the boy's going to be when he realizes his little prize got away.
But Matsui doesn't just leave the hat there. He does something really strange. He feels this bizarre need to replace what the boy lost. So he goes back to his cab, grabs a big summer orange his mom sent him, and get this, he puts the orange on the ground and pops the little white hat right on top of it. I mean, who does that?
So he drives off, and suddenly he's totally startled. There's a little girl with a bob haircut just sitting silently in his back seat. She asks him to take her to a place called Rapeseed Blossom Lane. Okay. But then, a second later, he glances in the rearview mirror, and she's just gone. The back seat is totally empty. Matsui slams on the brakes, completely bewildered. He's trying to figure out what just happened. And that's when this really chilling idea starts to form in his head. The girl, she was the butterfly. It's the only explanation. After all, a butterfly had transformed.
Okay, let's just pause for a second. A butterfly that turns into a kid? A kid who then just vanishes? This is basically a ghost story, right? But it's passed off as a children's tale. So the real question is, why? Why is this particular story being taught to pretty much every single kid in an entire nation?
The answer is because it isn't just a story, it's an instrument. Think of it as a carefully designed tool built to get a very specific result. And it's part of a much, much bigger plan.
Yeah, this thing has a purpose. Every single detail, what the driver thinks, how the little boy might feel, even this weird whispery line at the very end, it's all there for a reason. It's designed, almost like software, to program a specific way of thinking. And the craziest part? The blueprint for this whole operation, it's out there for anyone to see.
And here it is, the Elementary School Curriculum Guidelines for the Japanese Language. It's a massive document put out by Japan's Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology. We'll just call it MEXT. And trust me, this is the master plan. This thing doesn't just suggest what kids should learn. No, it lays out, in painstaking detail, the exact qualities and abilities that need to be built into every single student, every single year. And that little butterfly story? It's just one of the tools in their toolbox.
All right, so if we want to understand how this creepy little story works, we have to look at the machine it plugs into. The whole national language curriculum, it turns out, is built on 3 core pillars. And these aren't just, vague educational goals. They're the actual fundamental building blocks of the entire system.
So here they are. Pillar 1, knowledge and skills. Pillar 2, thinking, judgment, and expression. And Pillar 3, drive to learn and humanity. You can almost think of it like this. The first one is the raw material. The second one is the processor, how you think. And the third? That's kind of like the operating system, the motivation behind it all. Put them together, and the goal is to build a very particular kind of person. So, let's break down how this machine actually gets assembled.
Okay, so Pillar 1 is all about the basics, knowledge and skills. This is where the system just gives students the raw tools, understanding how words work, how to deal with information, and getting a real handle on Japan's own language and culture. You could call this the what? It's like the basic code that a student has to download.
Now, Pillar 2 is where things get more interesting. This is about thinking, judgment, and expression. And this is where the system really starts to actively shape a child's mind. The goals are super clear.
build up their imagination, get them to think logically, and make them better communicators. So this isn't just about learning stuff anymore. This is the how. It's the programming that literally tells them how to process the world around them and how to express themselves in it.
And finally, we have Pillar 3, Drive to Learn and Humanity. This one's a little more abstract, but honestly, it might be the most important. The system is trying to install an attitude, a specific feeling about language, a deep respect for it, and this constant drive to get better. It wants kids to feel, on a gut level, the power of words. This is the why. It's kind of like the ghost in the machine. It's that internal motivation that keeps the whole program running for the rest of their lives.
Okay, so we have this really unsettling story on one hand, and this official government blueprint on the other. Now, let's connect the dots. Let's see exactly how this story is being used as a tool for transformation.
Just look at how perfectly this all lines up. It's almost too perfect. The blueprint says you have to cultivate imagination. So what does the story do? It has the driver literally imagine the little boy's surprised face. The blueprint says students need to grasp character feelings. Boom, the whole story revolves around the driver thinking about the boy's potential disappointment. And the blueprint wants to show the power of language, while the story ends with that repeated, whispered phrase, "That's great, isn't it?" which creates this incredibly powerful, eerie feeling. See, every single moment in the story is there to serve the blueprint. Nothing is an accident.
And this is the whole point. The story isn't really about a butterfly turning into a little girl. That creepy image, it's just a distraction. It's the delivery mechanism. The transformation of the butterfly is a metaphor. It's a metaphor for the educational system itself. And the thing that's actually being transformed is the child reading the story. And you have to understand, this isn't some small little experiment. We're talking about a massive national project running on an incredible scale with a very clear, officially stated goal.
Take a look at this number, over 6 million. That's roughly how many elementary school kids in Japan are going through this exact curriculum. 6 million children, all reading this same strange story, all being guided to think about it in the exact same way, according to the same blueprint, year after year after year. The scale of it, it's just staggering.
And what's the official reason for all this? Well, here's what the system says its purpose is. The goal is to foster the qualities and abilities that will enable children to create a better society and a happy life. And look, that sounds great, right? It sounds positive, completely reasonable. But it's a goal that's being pursued through this centrally designed, incredibly precise system of mass transformation.
And that brings us right back to the unsettling heart of that little story. A butterfly is transformed and it becomes a child. And it just leaves it with this one final, really uncomfortable question. When a system, no matter how good its intentions are, when a system is designed to transform a child, what does that child become?